Hello, I'm Recky. Welcome back for another Tornado Alley reaction with me, Recky. I did a community post, and you guys helped me out with picking the next episode or next reaction to Tornado Alley, and a bunch of you wanted me to do Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Uh, this one is a bit different than the other ones because it says it's a full episode, and I saw that it's an hour long. So we're gonna do the normal thing when we watch longer videos together. We are gonna halfway through, we're gonna say still here, and if you are a channel member, you can use the emoji still here. Well, basically just text like a picture. If you're not a member, you can just write still here and halfway marker. When we have probably made around 95% of the entire video together, we're gonna do it again. Basically, maybe like I am still here, like we normally do to other videos. If you have tag along before, this one is gonna be a long one. So without further ado, smack a like and of course hit that subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Do use the comment section for any kind of suggestions you might have. Not limited to Tornado Alley. It could be limited to nothing, really. Your choice, your imagination. You want me to check out. Of course, we say thank you to the awesome people of Recky, the channel members, and the Patreons. Thank you so much for the amazing support. And we have a big shout out to the Supreme Tier donators over by Patreon and on channel membership. Well, that's it. Now, let's check it out together. All right, we should be ready here. As you can see, we got an hour for the entire video, but I don't mind. Let's do this.
The trail runs cold. If a tornado did flush a skunk ape out, there is no sign of it now.
What?
Dave and Ox retreat the way they came to collect their cast of the unidentified footprint.
Well, it didn't blow the night. We still got the mold we're gonna get now.
Which is great.
There it is.
For Dave and Ox, the footprint cast is important evidence that the skunk ape is drawn to tornado-ravaged areas.
Just brush it away.
Did he say skunk ape? I must be hallucinating. What a weird start. Is he actually saying that? Right? Really?
There it is.
For Dave and Ox, the footprint cast is important evidence that the skunk ape is drawn to tornado-ravaged areas.
Just brush it away.
Oh yeah, look, see the toes.
See the toes. They come right out.
That's a super track, man.
Well, it went really good. Obviously, we found tracks, we found evidence that skunk apes were here, attracted to the tornado site.
The fact that we didn't see us.
Is this science fiction? Because I'm getting freaked out now. You gotta tell me about this. Well, of course I can Google it, but if you want to help me out, you can do it. I would greatly appreciate that.
Skunk ape, I'm really not that disappointed. It was scary and it was exciting at the same time.
Despite the skepticism of mainstream science, Dave believes the evidence is there. And when Florida's next tornado strikes, he'll be back to try and track down the elusive creature. He is just one of the many believers, those who cross paths with disaster and are forever changed in the twisted aftermath of nature's fury.
I think I get it now. It's just all right, so this is gonna be the longest video ever. So it's just what do you call it? Like a folklore, or is it like, well, the science doesn't believe in it, but there are believers out there that the skunk ape is actually a thing. That looked like a major paw print though.
It is headed due east. It's about a quarter mile to a half mile wide tornado.
Oh my gosh, look at it!
I knew the devastation of a wedge tornado. We watched it happen in Joplin, and here it's happening in my city.
Wow.
Coming to 98, we gotta get out of the way!
No, dude. Wow.
I knew that it
was headed for my parents'
Look at the
neighborhood.
size.
Everybody okay?
The hardest thing is not knowing where possible death is coming from.
Real people.
I started to panic. I started to cry.
So all I could think of was how lucky we were not to have the girls in the car.
Real time.
Somebody laying there dead was a real possibility.
Oh, that's not from the beginning.
It's multi-vortex.
Multi-vortex. Alright, here we go. Before you continue, I strongly advise you to pause the video. Get something to drink, maybe a snack. I got water. Well, that's not good, but that's all I have.
November 5, Mike Zulu checking in. Nothing to report at this time.
Inside of 9 years, we've had two really devastating events to happen in Hattiesburg. Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
We're gonna do a Katrina
the
too.
last one, February the 10th, 2013.
Y'all copy all that stuff? Copy, on the ground.
I turned on my police radio, and that's when I heard all the radio traffic about a tornado.
20, it's a big storm from right here.
It was Mardi Gras weekend, and when you're this close to New Orleans, it's a holiday. So we got the weekend off. I was at my parents' house about 20 minutes from town. I kind of saw the storm beginning. You start seeing the local news covering what was happening west of us.
Local law enforcement reported a tornado 24 miles southwest of West Hattiesburg moving northeast at 45 miles per hour.
Okay.
While my title now is news director, I was running the weather department at that time.
We're getting reports of injuries now to Marion County. 3 homes damaged along Mount Carmel Church Road.
Once we got that damage report in Marion County, we knew we were dealing with a bad situation.
I am a reporter and anchor at WDAM TV. I was at my parents' house, and I had my nieces with me because they like to come with me to go to Mama and Pawpaw's house. It was pretty dark at our house to be in the afternoon. So my mom changed it to the Weather Channel.
Here's Hattiesburg, southeast Mississippi.
I remember my mom saying, "Are you sure you should head out?" I just told them, like, I can make it, I'll be fine. So when I left, I felt very confident. That confidence went away quickly.
Did they compare this one to Joplin? TF5?
Man, look at that.
I just graduated from USM with a bachelor's in geography. We studied weather and climate, which I really enjoyed. That's what got me into it, actually. We had the day off from work. The warning sirens had gone off several times, and I was getting stir crazy, and that's when my cousin Hank called and just wanted to get out of the house. He and his girlfriend, Coralie, came and picked me up and went to an outfitter store. It was a really strange atmosphere. The sky was kind of getting darker. In the beginning, it's bright out.
We talked about this, and basically most of the videos we're watching when there is a tornado coming close, or is probably gonna form any second, it's that the atmosphere around you turns a bit greenish, darkish, and of course eerie.
And then by the end of it, it's all darkness.
Still likely a tornado on the ground in Marion County.
What you have
Almost
is the one
5
we've been
p.m.
tracking south of Columbia.
A very serious scenario here with the storm moving into Lamar County.
Well, there was 4 of us in the car. We do this because we like to be a part of the warning system, the assistance system.
Storm was already tornado warned, so we decided to drop south and try to find a break in the tree lines. We finally found an area that was flat, so we decided to set up and wait for the storm to approach. It's getting really dark back in there.
Siren going on again.
Still couldn't see the tornado yet because it was still shrouded in low cloud cover. So it took a few minutes for it to emerge.
All right, let me get the weather service on the phone.
I saw it. So start forming right here now.
Oh my gosh, look at it! Just call 911, look at it! Call it in, it's multi-vortex. We need to go. Okay, let's go.
Multi-vortex is basically, correct me if I'm wrong, if there's like one tornado, the next one behind it, and maybe even one in the middle or scattered, whatever. I'm certain we're gonna find out. But if we don't, let me know in the comments if I'm actually correct. If you know the answer to it.
We saw the actual tornado on the ground. Scott called National Weather Service, and then I called 911.
We have a large multi-vortex tornado on the ground. We're professional storm chasers. My name's Mike Casey. Heading towards Hattiesburg. Heading toward Hattiesburg. We have visual confirmation of a multi-vortex large wedge tornado on the ground.
Look at that. Look at the atmosphere. It's freaking me out.
Call mom and dad. Call mom and dad.
I personally didn't grow up here, but Paul grew up here. Seems like you turn around and he bumps into somebody he knows.
Yeah, we're fixing to run here in a minute.
So we had pulled off, went to the Best Buy parking lot, and then you could see this line of dark clouds, and then right below it, it was just clear.
Start the car. Start the car. Let's go.
Stop freaking out.
I felt like we needed to get out of the way, and I was concerned about my family in town. When we saw the first transformer explode, that's when I realized that that was a tornado.
Oh my
You could see a
lord.
debris cloud starting. You could start seeing shingles flying in the air, and I can't say that it was shingles or whatever it was, but you could see objects just spinning around it.
Once we got out on the highway, I really didn't look in the rearview mirror to see how close it was. I didn't want to see how close it was.
I get that.
Run it. Just run it. Just run it. Blow the horn and run it, Jen. Blow the horn and run it. Just run it. Blow the horn. Let's go.
You gotta get out. You gotta go. You gotta go. Look at that. It's creeping up so freaking fast. No way. No way. Wow. If it ain't moving and coming towards you, all right? So if it ain't moving, it looks like it ain't moving, it's coming towards you.
We had several officers that were able to give information to other officers so they could try to get out of the path if they were headed towards the path.
It's at 59 right now. 59 and Hardy is moving fast going towards downtown.
An officer said it was coming toward the interstate, so I knew that I was in a bad position.
403 Hattiesburg, I'm just up under the Lincoln Road Bridge here on 59. I'm fixing to try to shut it down. I can see where it's going through. Just be careful.
I sped and got as far ahead as many cars
Look
as I
at that. It's freaking me out. That's freaking me out.
I turned my blue lights on and stopped the traffic. There was one car that I couldn't get to in time.
403 copy, still on I-59. Copy, the anybody got visual?
Is that real? Was that real?
There were ants everywhere. Everywhere. Thousands of them. And the problem was too big for us, but not for
See if I
Oregon.
can.
And Sarah, she's organized. She's meticulous. She's like a part of the family.
This is what Medicare for Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Sorry about that. You don't need to see the commercials.
I'm just up under the Lincoln Road Bridge here on 59. I'm fixing to try to shut it down. I can see where it's going through. 403 copy, still on I-59.
At that point, I didn't know how big the tornado was. I didn't know how wide it was. I didn't know the path it was taking. I parked diagonally in the road and stopped the traffic. Probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do is sit there waiting and not knowing where possible death is coming from.
307, it's coming
All right. Oh my God, I'm freaking out now. He's gonna sit there. Hopefully,
I could see the bridge at the next intersection at Hardy Street. The clouds got darker. Then all of a sudden, I couldn't see. It looked like the cloud had actually just dropped down in between me and the overpass. You could hear the wind blowing, and they say it sounds like a freight train, and it's a lot worse. There was one car that I couldn't get to in time, and I actually drove up, not knowing if they were all safe. That was terrifying.
Okay, so storm chasers are reporting a tornado on the ground in northern Lamar County. Large wedge tornado being reported on the ground in northern.
We had already had confirmation from a storm chaser. He actually relayed that to the National Weather Service into the chat, and they quickly relayed it to us.
All right, this is one of the worst case scenarios that we can possibly have. I've been here for about 10 years, and it's the first time we've really had what we would describe as a wedge tornado on track towards a major metropolitan area.
My voice cracks when I say that. I knew the devastation of a wedge tornado. We watched it happen in Joplin.
Yeah.
We watched it happen in Tuscaloosa, and here it's happening to my city, and it's tough.
Kind of weird. I can say I know all about the devastation in Joplin, and of course Tuscaloosa. Not to mention, forget to mention more as well, because we've seen it together. And just fill the chat if you are normally watch or react to tornadoes. Say that in the chat, because I mean, kindness is key. I'm getting really emotional because I can see him. He's gonna break down.
It's huge. It is a big tornado.
We were probably 5 miles outside of town. Still could not really get any visuals on the tornado. As soon as we crossed the Hattiesburg city limit is when we saw the tornado coming in, and our heart stopped because we could see one end of it and we couldn't see the other.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh my God.
We were still on the line when National Weather Service 911 that they would get the sirens turned on.
There are no sirens going off. Yeah, we're sitting right here. There's no sirens going off.
It may be larger. It may be larger.
We got out the car, kind of started yelling for people that were around.
Oh, it's bad. It's coming over. It's coming to 98. We got to get out of the way.
You can tell the cars that are driving next to us have no idea what's going on.
First thing. Highway. What? King and Old Highway. King and Old Highway. Large multi-vortex tornado, 1/4 mile wide.
First thing I thought, there's gonna be a lot of injuries, and this isn't good. Stop right here. So we need to.
Why are not people not?
Just
why is that?
Helping people as quick as we can. Large tornado on the ground. Coming into Hattiesburg. All right, you're gonna go forward, past the ambulance. Ma'am, I need to go.
I started getting text messages and calls from my sister, and she was like, I don't know what you need to do. She was like, I don't know if you need to keep going or turn around. So I got off the phone with her, and I called my coworker, Vanessa Pacheco, at work, and I just told her, I need to speak to the weather chief. I need to speak to Nick. She told me that Nick couldn't speak to me right now, but she would try to get the message to him. So I kept driving. Luckily, my nieces were not awake. And I just remember thinking, thank God they're asleep, because I started to panic, I started to cry. It was so incredibly dark, and it was just this eerie quiet that I've never heard before.
Throughout the course of my career as a photographer, I've probably covered 7 or 8 different tornadoes. But as far as actually being close to one or it actually hitting that close to home, this was the first. I was working at the Hattiesburg American. I was a staff photographer, so it took off to head into Hattiesburg. In the
I don't like
distance,
that.
I was able to see the actual storm running parallel. When it crossed Highway 589, I knew that it was headed for my parents' and my grandparents' neighborhood. I was exceptionally worried about them. I never strayed away from focusing to try to get into Hattiesburg, but at the time I was still continuing to touch base with them on the phone just to see how they were.
Go ahead. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay.
That's a tornado.
We pulled out of the parking lot, and I saw this giant destructive finger that was just tearing things apart.
Whoa!
I was just really excited at first, that I was looking at this tornado. There was a nice gentleman that he was in a white truck, and he kind of ran defense for us as we pulled out in the intersection, because some people realized there was a tornado and other people didn't. We were able to pull left, and I realized it was barreling down on us and it was coming our way.
Too much traffic this way.
Our oldest is Rebecca. We had dropped off Becca at church.
I was more worried about my parents than I really was of my daughter. I know that sounds awful, but seeing the way the storm was heading, I knew that it wasn't going to go that way.
Paul called his parents, and the phone lines were down at their house. We went to try to go to Paul's parents' house.
The way that the storm was coming, it looked like it was going to head straight on top of their house.
Keep going straight. Keep going straight. 4-3 Hattiesburg. I got one vehicle off the road here at 59 coming up to Hardy.
Somebody else had stopped. There's a man, his wife, and 3 kids in a SUV, and they'd been picked up, flipped about 3 times in the air, and landed in a ditch. A lot of things going through my mind at the time. I didn't know if anybody was killed or seriously injured.
Hey, Jamie, tell us how bad it is. If they need us to start that little amount down there, I can. I'm supposed to go through.
Beer. Coors Light.
That's it. Right there's the tornado. Right behind the daggum store. Hey, Jamie, tell us how bad it is. If they need us to start that little amount down there, I can. I'm supposed to go through.
There's a man, his wife, and 3 kids in a SUV. Somebody else had stopped. The family was in the truck with them, and when I got out, the driver and his wife got out of the car. They came back, told me what happened, and I made sure they were all safe. I put the kids and the wife in my patrol car. They were scared. They were crying. I let them know that back in my patrol car at that point was probably the safest place they could be.
We believe that because Sergeant Bruley blocked the interstate with his patrol car to keep traffic from driving into it, he was able to save some lives.
This is going to be crossing over eventually Highway 49. We're talking about right near USM is where this tornado is headed towards.
Look at that. Look at all that damage.
I don't like this one bit.
We realized, oh my God, it's headed straight down Hardy Street, and you immediately start calling friends that lived on campus, in the dorms, or in the fraternity houses, and making sure that everybody's okay. Hardy Street is, the busiest street in Hattiesburg, and
dude, that's insane.
that's your initial thought, is how many people that could be on that road potentially.
Keep going. Keep going. Slow it down a little bit now.
The tornado was moving east. We were letting it stay in front of us because it gives us options to get out of the way if we need to.
I was filming outside the window, and I could literally hear the structures breaking. I'd never heard anything like it in my life. It was like someone had just put a bunch of metal inside of a dryer and turned it on.
Oh, wow.
I got really nervous because I realized it was moving really fast. Traffic was just crazy. People were running red lights, and I kept screaming, "It's right behind us." I think I was scaring my cousin because he couldn't see it, and he was trying to weave through traffic. The entire funnel dissipated from the ground up, and for a moment there was all of this debris just hanging in the sky.
Yeah, you can go right.
I was watching pieces of people's lives kind of rain down, and I thought that at that point the tornado had died. And then took a right.
One thing I just figured out. So the tornado pulls up a lot of debris. Then when when it just disappears, all the things that is floating up in the air will just drop down. What a death trap. Wow. I can't even imagine that.
Basically did everything you shouldn't do in a tornado. We turned into the path of it.
Oh my gosh, it's right there. The tornado began to move
Look at
slightly
that.
more to the north. I had a feeling that eventually that tornado would meet up with the road that we were on.
I've never heard it like that. It's huge and loud.
You guys getting really close now.
Oh my gosh, it just hit something. Continue, forward, forward.
It was a red truck in front of me that had stopped, and there was another vehicle on the side of me, so I couldn't get around. So I just grabbed the steering wheel with both hands, braced myself. Paul sheltered me on my right side.
Okay, we are basically halfway through. If you're still here, use the comment section, say, Recky, I am still here. Or no, don't do that. Recky, I'm still here. We're going to do am later in the video.
You could hear debris
And of course, if you are a member, use the still here emoji.
hitting the car. The car was swaying back and forth. And then you heard just crazy wind, and it was done. When I looked up, there was a 2x4 through the back glass of the car. We have two girls, and if either one of them would have been in the back seat, they would have both been severely hurt. Becca would have had glass all in her head. And Maya would have had a 2x4 in her head. And so when I saw that, I mean, it was over for me, because that's all I could think of was how lucky we were not to have the girls in the car. So Paul took over driving. And all he could think about was his parents.
There was a stretch of trees and just kind of lost it behind that. When we come out on the other side of those trees, what was in the distance at first was right on top of us. We were hit with the leading edge of it. It was shaking the car, and you could see stuff flying around outside. I mean, it was just insane wind. It was just loud, and there was just a roar.
Wow, no way, no way. Look at that.
Oh my God.
They
were lucky.
Like I'm about to die. I probably should have felt like that because we were that close to it.
It just got right on me.
But afterwards, of course, you start to wonder, like, in all of that destruction, did someone lose life?
People are hurt. We need a render aid. We need to stop a render aid now. It's over. Watch out for power lines. Oh my gosh, there's people injured.
When we got to the point to where the tornado had crossed in front of us, we couldn't go anymore, and at that point we knew we needed to go into search and rescue modes.
Good boys.
We almost ran into power lines that were right at head level that you just don't see because there's so much damage down there. First, there was this heavily damaged pickup truck in front of us, and we thought someone was going to be in it.
It looked like the truck had flipped over and landed upright again, and we saw a guy walking away. He's got blood on him and stuff.
We could see massive damage. We could see big brick walls laying down. You don't know if people are under them. You're not sure where to go or where to stop. So you just look for the area that looks like the most severely damaged and where people could have been, and you go there.
Anybody in there? Anybody in there?
We missed the front of the Oak Tree house. The whole front is missing off of the Oak Tree house. We got major damage on the front. I'm gonna get out here at 4th Street and.
Right there in the middle of campus, I could see this huge funnel cloud that had just gone just to the south of the football stadium, and I watched it then track on to the east and eventually into the neighborhoods.
Get on the people first. First priority is going to be resident falls and anywhere where people are living.
And I turned around my patrol unit and went back and started on the east side of campus there, checking some dorms.
Okay, so I'm really freaked out about the aftermath of this one. It's not gonna be pretty.
5 residence halls in the vicinity. We know there's still people here on campus, and to know that somebody being somewhere and laying there dead was a real possibility. That was what you were hoping not to see.
See it
right there, the tornado on the camera.
Yep, that's it. And you just saw a transformer explode, so that's
we have power flashes there. That is a large tornado on the ground.
We have several cameras scattered through the area, and we had already told people this is a tornado that could be 3/4 of a mile wide, but I don't think people actually believed it until they saw it with their own eyes.
And I think that's the biggest issue with people, including myself, not maybe underestimate the magnitude, the size, the power, and just think that, because I feel like that nothing can hurt me. I'm gonna live to I am old and gray and die as an old man. I think basically a lot of people have that insight, but then again, I'm not living in a country or in a tornado alley, or where freak accidents can happen with the weather. My only experience is Dust Devil. You guys told me to call it that. I was on the beach. I was really young, and this Dust Devil took my cap. I never saw the cap again. That's the only experience I have with weather conditions. Of course, we have some thunderstorms in Sweden during the summer. When I was young, it was really, really dangerous to go outside because of the lightning. But that's basically it. I remember raindrops size of like this big. I mean, this big raindrops. But that's basically it. We don't have any more than that.
This is not something to play around with. You need to be taking your tornado precautions right.
Oh,
we did actually lose power. The generator did kick on. That takes about 15 seconds.
So we just saw that flash right when we threw this on the screen there, and that's what happens when you have a tornado hitting a transformer.
Another surge came through and knocked us off. That was an unfortunate time to be down because the tornado was moving towards the city of the Pedal.
Pedal.
I kept driving and praying to God, like, please let me be making the right decision, because I had those 2 girls with me. I heard back from Nick, and he just told me to stop wherever you are, like, get somewhere. And so I ended up stopping by this grocery store, and I went inside with the 2 girls, and I was just shaking. I believe that Nick telling me to stop saved our lives. I never went into detail about what happened that day, especially not with Nick. So I don't think he knows at all. I don't think I ever told him.
Tornadoes on the ground should be coming into Pedal any second now.
Pedal.
On the ground.
Small town, I assume. neighboring city.
When it first came into our site, it was over our recreational complex that our softball fields are for the city. It lost a lot of color, I guess you would say.
You can barely see it now. Is it dying?
Middle fire copy. Sunrise 16.
Oh, 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
You hit the Red Cross building, in the baseball field, in the Girl Scout building. Got my video camera down here. Is everybody okay?
Yeah, we good.
That's been tough, man.
Look at the real. Look what it did to the bridge.
Wow. It's incredible. Like a war zone.
Not as far as I can tell. Yes! I don't think there's anybody in here. I hope there wasn't anyway.
My phone rang and it was my dad, and he'd actually told me that it did cross over my grandparents' house and their house. My grandparents' house received some pretty good damage, along with my parents' house also received some damage, but no one in my family was injured.
Oh, thank God.
I left my car at 34th and Hardy, got out, started roaming around, taking photos, search and rescue efforts for different stuff like that, and as well as the fire department. You stop and you kind of think, you know, is everybody okay, or did anybody die? To see it go through your town and put people's lives in danger that you know in your own hometown, it's sort of a different feeling other than just a normal event that you cover.
Yeah, I understand
I
that.
really wasn't prepared to see that amount of damage and take in that amount of people's emotions.
Couldn't tell really where we were because we weren't familiar with Hattiesburg. We thought that it would look like a hospital district or something.
Is anybody injured? Is there any injuries over here? Oh my God.
And as we came through some of the damage, we looked up and we could see the sign for the University of Southern Mississippi. I was very nervous about what we might see.
It's terrible. We're at Hattiesburg. It's terrible. They just got destroyed. It's terrible. We're on the whole way. No one else is
Oh.
If you hit new episodes Sunday nights at 8.
Southern got destroyed. We're helping people. So just pray for them, okay? Just pray for them.
Oh, this is gonna be hard to see, dude.
We're at Hattiesburg. It's terrible. They just got destroyed. We're on the whole way. No, we're helping people.
I knew there was going to be people that had died. How many, I didn't know. We were hoping it would be low.
Watch out for the line.
All the emergency responders were all ready to go. It was very impressive how quickly they were out there.
I made my way checking for any victims. I came across a young lady from the University of Alabama. She was sitting in her car, terrified, because she had just rode out the tornado. She had a cat and a hedgehog with her. And so we grabbed the cat, grabbed the hedgehog, and I went and took her inside of a girl's dorm and told them to take care of her, give her any assistance that she needed.
One of the on-campus residence halls was hit by the storm. It didn't completely collapse it, but it blew out a lot of the windows and knocked off good chunks of it.
Luckily for us, no deaths were reported from our campus.
Oh, I love to hear it.
But at the time, we didn't know about the rest of the city of Hattiesburg.
I took over driving and I raced over to my mom and dad's house. I knew my dad had a weather radio in the house. Dad takes his weather seriously. They were safe. They were okay.
Yay.
I remember we were in my parents' driveway after all this happened. Dad was helping me tape up the back glass. And I remember seeing in the sky, you could still see just an angry sky. It looked like another storm was heading our way.
No way, no way. It's enough, dude.
He said there's a gas leak and a fire. Oh, look at that church, man. It's like everything is... Look at that. The telephone pole. That is where we crossed in front of it, right there.
We went back onto Hardy Street, I mean, immediately after it had happened, and it was just a swath of land that was just chewed up. There was just destruction and people wandering around in it.
Look at that.
It was so dark and you couldn't see, all the electricity was out. I was just awestruck at the power of this thing, at the wind. You know, this was just wind.
This is what we were out running.
I've been doing a couple of these, and I've learned a lot, of course, from the videos, but mostly from you guys. And the few things that got my attention is, of course, the power and the force on a tornado. It can actually debark trees. And one of you guys said that it took away a few inches of ground. We got soil and even some of the asphalt, and that's just it's impossible for me to understand. Of course, I understand it, but it feels like it's from a movie and it's not real. And for the fact that it is real is overwhelming.
Look down there. Hank, look what happened. This is what, it was right behind us.
It kind of hit us all of a sudden, like, we've got animals at home, like, have our homes been destroyed? We first went to Hank and Corley's house. It was fine. My house, it's fine. But the drive home is where we started seeing a lot of destruction.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
We started going through the neighborhoods on foot with the assistance of the fire department, checking for anyone injured.
Wow. Guys have night vision.
Some houses, there was nothing left but a slab. And, you know, they would wonder if the people were injured or anything like that.
Copy. We're just a little bit past East 7th Street.
That's just pretty wrong.
We had officers going into houses that, when they came out, found out that they had natural gas lines going to them and they were leaking. We had officers that were getting sick on the side of the road, and as soon as they got through being sick, they were back in the houses looking again.
Okay, we got 10 more minutes, 12. If you still hear another comment or edit your old one saying, Ricky, I am still here.
Even with headlights, it was so dark, you couldn't see anything.
Blackness is a whole complete different kind of blackness when the power's out.
Yeah.
Pitch black and it's pouring down rain. There were power lines everywhere.
Oh my Lord.
People lost everything. There were people that were crying, sitting on bricks and pieces left of their foundation. People going through china cabinets, people standing on umbrellas in the pouring down rain, pulling out things that were left from their closet. No roofs on their home, no walls standing. You see people countless time and time again crying, hugging one another, telling the story of how they did survive. It does take a toll on you.
Yeah, I understand that.
Now, all these numbers that you heard out here today, there's 200 homes or 3,500 or 4,000 houses without power. You can imagine those numbers will go up. They are going to go up. The number we don't want to go up are fatalities. That number is at 0. We want it to remain at 0. We were really at that point. We still didn't have one fatality.
Wow.
In this event, but we were aware that there was a possibility.
I'm standing here in Mr. Jerry Lewis's what used to be his garage. As you can see, there is debris everywhere. The tornado came right through here. Mr. Lewis's family, they were looking out the window and they were watching a woman hanging on to that pole right there. She was holding on to that for her dear life. Now, obviously,
We heard story after story after story about people in one room and for whatever reason moving to the next room. When a tree falls in the room they move from.
Wow.
One home in particular, an elderly lady was still in the home. She had some things stored in some big plastic crates. She was in the living room when the storm came through. It lifted her home up enough, basically moved it about 50 to 75 feet. She hit the floor, and those boxes came over between her and a corner of their house. And that room was pretty much the only thing that was not destroyed on that home.
The tornado had hit Oak Grove High School. I had no idea on a Sunday that there was anyone there. But it turns out there was a team there at the time. The team actually ran into the bathroom in the gymnasium. Fortunately, there was no one in their field house. You had a lot of damage there.
I met the sweetest man, and I remember him telling me his story. His wife was bedridden at the time, and he told me that he put a mattress over her, and he got himself on top of the mattress. He said the roof fell on him, and by the time it was all over, the entire house was gone, but they didn't have a scratch on them.
We waited to find out if there were any fatalities and not knowing what the results going to be. I've been on the end of waiting for a baby to be born, and it's that anxious moment to make sure the baby is fine. It's almost just that same kind of feeling, and that sadness if you find someone who had lost their life.
We did have damage in the county. We had some significant damage to homes and structures. We do have power outages still. We have about 4,800 customers that are without power.
We had already started our way back to Jackson.
Come on.
We started getting reports on the radio that there's a bunch of injuries. We thought for certain there were deaths from that tornado. I thought for sure.
We know that 63 individuals were transported to the 2 local hospitals, and they were treated there.
And Doug.
Exactly. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you'll...
Too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
The state of emergency still exists, and so we would ask you to be careful on a number of levels. We have flooding.
Wait a minute. What actually on 2013 was that a really crappy year when it comes to tornadoes?
In low-lying areas.
We know that 63 individuals were transported to the 2 local hospitals, and they were treated there with minor injuries.
We started getting reports on the radio that there's just a bunch of injuries.
As the governor said, we've got more than 60 injuries that are reported. No fatalities. We're thankful for that. I've always said if we can get through these storms without any deaths and all we have to do is to clean up the mess, it would be wonderful. Continue to pray for those and think about those that had injuries.
When we found out no one had died, we were shocked. We could not believe at what we watched and saw that there were no deaths.
Wow. Wow.
The maximum
up yours tornado
width of the tornado was around 3/4 of a mile wide, and the path length that went through Lamar County into Forest County was right over 21 miles. The wind speeds was about 160 miles per hour. The National Weather Service determined from their survey that this was an EF4 tornado.
Oh, EF4.
If it,
I cannot understand. It's an EF4 with total destruction.
If we're running on a path just a 1/4 of a mile, half mile to the north, it would have wiped out almost every business in the city of Hattiesburg. If there's any silver lining, it's the fact that, remarkably, there were no deaths. When you just look at the statistics and you look at an EF4 tornado hitting a populated area, I don't know
why we were spared.
If it had been a work day, because of the path that the tornado took, it was going down one of the busiest streets, which is usually packed at 5 o'clock. Had this happened on that day, I believe that injuries that would have been sustained, even the cost of life, would have been dramatically increased.
To have no loss of life is nothing but truly a miracle.
Yeah.
We were really blessed in that a lot of our student population had left and gone to Mardi Gras. The 6 o'clock church services had not occurred. Those kind of events actually helped us.
Just very thankful that no one was seriously injured. My explanation for that is the good Lord was watching out for the city of Hattiesburg and all of its citizens.
Yep.
We started a Facebook group. I created the group about 7 o'clock Sunday night, and by the end of the night we had several hundred followers, and it kind of took off from there.
Thank you everybody for coming out. This is an overwhelming response.
By Wednesday morning, the day of the cleanup itself, we met on campus with over 1,000 volunteers.
Mowing the lawn
to see
behind
that
me.
many people that passionate and that endowed to the university.
This is what I love to watch.
It was just a tremendous moment for all of us, I think.
It's been overwhelming almost. At 20 years old, I never thought anything like this would ever happen. So it's just a statement of the community and family that we have here, and I'm really proud of it.
USM came back, and USM has come back stronger than before. The restoration process has been nonstop ever since. There are new memories to be made.
Love it.
My daughter, she'll never know what campus was like before. She won't have any idea. But now I'm able to show her a new campus and a new progress and a new Hattiesburg.
1,300 buildings and homes that caused millions of dollars in damage. Of course it did. 18 months later,
The
most
rebuilding
of the
process hasn't been easy for a lot of people, but Hattiesburg
18?
is making it. Hattiesburg is coming back.
People around here are tough. They started rebuilding and picking up the pieces right away.
I'm proud of the people of Mississippi, how they bounce back from disasters.
I think it helped some of the cities, you know, Hattiesburg and Petal, especially with the downtown revitalization, and the tornado touched some of those areas in town, and as a result, it has helped a lot of the community, and it's helped a lot of the neighborhoods
coming together.
revitalize itself.
Yeah, love it.
I don't think that the tornado will ever be a defining factor or defining item in the history of Hattiesburg. So I think it'll be the spirit, the resilience, and the ability to overcome that our community showed following the storm that will be the defining piece in our history.
All right, that magically just stopped.
Jenna.
Oh, okay. Well, luckily, I have a good microphone, not picking up the noise outside. Okay, we did another one, guys. I hope you're still with me. And what a tremendous, amazing miracle that no one lost alive when Hattiesburg got hit by an EF5 February 2013. If I'm not completely mistaken, that was the year and date. I love doing this ones. I am always, most of the time, exhausted after watching it. It is not because it's a long video. It's because my emotions are running through. I feel the fear. I feel the anxiety and the worry that they feel. I'm exhausted. I'm super tired. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. Smack the like if you want to, of course, and of course hit that subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. If you want to become one of the awesome people, click join to become a member, or check out my Patreon link in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I am Recky. You stay safe.